Good morning, everyone. Hope you are all well. Today's learning is dedicated in memory of Ami Bas Aryeh, Shol ben Shlomo, Paul Casimir, Ram Yochir ben Moshe Eliezer, Shlomo Yochir ben Moshe Eliezer, Ben Sion ben Yitzchak, Ari ben Shimon, Leah Bas Feivel, Avram Mordechai ben Moshe Katna, Menashe Tzvi ben Tzvi Zalman, Ralia Bas Avram Pinkus, as well as the Yortzites for today, Vera Bas Mans. Wish all the families long life and only simchas. So, yesterday, you may recall, we were discussing about stage 1 in Rav Kook's thesis on Teshuva, the idea that we have to have a holistic approach to Teshuva, and therefore physically, in terms of our physical well-being, we have to ensure that we live healthily, we are healthy, and thereby we are able to ensure that the body and soul are able to be in sync. The second stage, which he discusses, is also a natural teshuva, a natural phenomenon, and that is with the psychic and moral state of a person. Rav Kook writes, a more inner stage of natural teshuva applies to psychological and spiritual state. This is, I guess, in our parlance, pangs of conscience. He says, man has a natural inclination to pursue a path of righteousness. When he strays from the way and falls into sin, if his spiritual sense has not been totally corrupted, the sense of morality will cause uneasiness out and he will suffer pain. He will hurry to return and correct what is being perverted to the point where he feels that the transgression has been erased. And there's a lot in Western literature, he goes on to say, which discusses this type of moral conscience. Tolstoy, Hugo, Dickens, Shakespeare, Balzac, Hardy, and Joyce, and Kant offer the idea that morality, that the natural tendency of each and every one of us is towards a morality. We all want to be good. Nobody is born wanting to do the wrong thing, right? We all know that if you look at a child and they go, they can be from all different types of backgrounds and homes. If you put them in a decent Jewish nursery, Jewish school, they come home full of excitement. They want to sing the songs, to do the prayers, and they ask mum and dad the question, well, why don't we? I want to make Kiddush. I want to have challah, right? So there is that natural desire, right, that comes. We start off wanting to do the right thing. And the only way that moral conscience, the pangs of guilt are lost is when there is so much corruption, so many layers upon layers of tainting of our goodness, right, through life and the influences around us, that we lose our moral compass. And this is the second aspect that Rav Kook speaks about. So we should feel it's in a way healthy, I guess, in life, that we feel pulled in two directions very often. Obviously, ideally, we'd love to just be pulled to do the right thing. But if we can't, we're always going to find that's life, that you face yourself with challenges and ordeals and moral quandaries and dilemmas and ethical questions, and how do I treat my friend, and do I tell them, don't I tell them, in a way that's healthy. That means that you are finding yourself challenged but pulled to do the right thing as well as the wrong thing, and clearly there are the challenges that we should be able to move forward and to do more and more of the right thing. It becomes second nature. So therefore, this is the second aspect of Teshuva, not just health in terms of our well-being, our physical well-being, but our mental well-being, our psychological well-being. Okay, that is, we all want to be a good person. It's interesting, at the end of life, or when a person passes, everybody wants to be written in the epitaph. Everybody wants to be inscribed and for it to be hewn in the stone. They were a good person, a charitable person, a person who did chesed, who did kindness, Everyone wants that. I've never met anyone or a family that didn't want that to be said about their loved one. The only question is whether we want to live that reality, to live that life. And then that, of course, requires of us to peel back some of the layers, right? The pollution that has occurred in our thinking, in our consciousness, and therefore we will be able more and more to naturally progress towards the right thing. That is the second aspect of Teshuva, and it's not necessarily, even a non-Jew could hopefully believe and think and want to do the right thing. I think most people do, but we've got to make sure that we are, as it were, unblocking the connections, so that we are able to feel naturally what the right thing is. Okay. Now there is the next stage, which is religious teshuva, a teshuva of faith, which is the third aspect in Rav Kook's philosophy. And he says that the person here decides not only that is he going to be physically and morally healthy, but he also longs to find favor with God, right? So the only way that we are going to be able to be spiritually, to have spiritual return and to feel true connection, is through following the precepts, the commandments, the basic tenets of our faith. And the more that we do so, the more connected we are going to feel. The more we are going to feel a sense of returning. In other words, it's not just a sentiment. Correct. On Rosh Hashanah, it starts out, friends, that it is just an intention, a wish, a New Year's resolution. But if that's all it is, if all it remains is an inspirational moment, that quickly dissipates, and that's going to disappear. What is critical and essential for each and every one of us is that we are able to translate and to transform those sentiments to become a concrete reality. And that happens through studying, engaging, involving, immersing ourselves in our faith and in the Torah. And the more that we do so, the more we're going to feel that connection, that deep connection, because our souls are craving nourishment. The same way that if you skip breakfast, they say it's the most important meal of the day. I think every meal is the most important meal of the day. But let's say you were to skip your breakfast, you start to feel pangs. You become hungry, right? Hunger pangs, they call it. And you become more and more irritable. You're craving that food, and you just want a bit of satiation so you can continue. Imagine a person who doesn't do mitzvot, who doesn't engage in faith at all. Their soul is starved. They're craving, longing. They're literally dying without it. And as soon as they have that nourishment of their essence, then they feel more fulfilled. They feel wholesome. They feel that they're living a life of meaning. So that is the essential next element. A person should feel motivated, he said, to do good things and to remedy ethical shortcomings. Once a person is healthy and on the moral track, then a person can get more involved in religiosity. It's interesting. Rav Kook says that the first two seem to be precursors, and I guess the teshuva of faith, which we are talking about, is predicated on the healthy living in terms of one's well-being and in terms of one's mindset, one's subconsciousness. And there are different types of teshuva that we're going to go on to discuss in the coming days. The first one is love, right? Why do we do things? Why do we do things in life, right? Either because we have to, or because we want to. Now, when we have to do something because we fear the consequences, I'll give you an example, okay? It's okay, we're not in January. But when it comes towards January, I guess for most of us, it's with great reluctance that we pay, we send over, we transfer the funds for the inland revenue, right? We have to pay our taxes. Nobody is, I haven't met anybody that's exceptionally enthusiastic, eager, can't wait to pay their way. So things that we have to do, right? We do them, and we do them out of duty. But there are things that we should do if we've got a real relationship, which are done out of love, because I feel a closeness, because I want to express my feelings to you, and that's through my actions. And therefore, the greatest form of Teshuva, the greatest form of return that we can do in life is renewing our commitment through our actions. If we demonstrate our excitement, our enthusiasm, our passion, then we are showing that it's a loving return rather than dragging one's feet, rather than being out of duty, rather than it being out of fear for the repercussions, for possible punishment or retribution or missing out. So that is the challenge for us, to be able to come back and to, the same as any relationship, it is a relationship with God, and we are meant to engage in a way in which we are able to express our love for life itself. So we're going to stop there for today. Please God, we should all, in some small way, some meaningful way, be able to find a way back through these stages. Firstly, as we said, we've got to be physically well. That means a bit of a detox, Rav Kook says, in terms of what we are eating, the lifestyle that we lead. And then, of course, then we have to look about our psychological well-being. I don't need to tell you after 18 months of COVID how important it is to be mentally, psychologically sound, to be in a good place, so that we are able to listen to our moral conscience, if we are able to detox, to take away the clutter of life, right? Rav Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, used to say, every Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I think every conference he used to say, the kol damataka, we refer to the shofar as the still, small, thin sound. It's not the large sound, it's that inner sound that we need to listen out to. In fact, when we blow the shofar, what do we say? We don't make the mitzvah on the blowing of the shofar, but the blessing is lishmoa kol shofar. It is incumbent upon us to listen to the voice of the shofar that resonates inside each and every one of us. Around this time of year, we all find ourselves going through a process of introspection and reflection, considering our past with a view to the future. And therefore, I think if we are able to take time out from our schedules, time out from the hustle and bustle of life, sit down, make a list, consider where we're doing well, where we've improved, and where there's still room for improvement. Where is it that we need to improve? If we don't even make that list, I can guarantee you it's not going to happen by itself, and we're going to be in the same position, God forbid, next year. And that's not what we as a group are all about. It's all about growth. So it could be that we take on ourselves simply to be more friendly to the dustman, the postman. Hopefully it will be something more profound than that, something more challenging than that. But each of us in our own way has to think about how we can become the real me, the better version of ourselves. Please God, we should be able to do so in the coming days and weeks. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. And good morning before we start. Rachel, Clarice, Peter, Carol, and Estelle, good morning to each and every one of you, as well as all the other viewers and listeners that are joining us across the world. Adonai Lamim Zacho Es Nishmos Ami Bas Ari Paul Casimir Rishal Ben Shlomo Yerom Mechia Ben Moshe Eliezer Shlomo Mechia Ben Moshe Eliezer Ben Sion Ben Yitzchak Ari Ben Shimon Leah Bas Faivo Avram Mordechai Ben Moshe Katna Menashe ben Zvi Zalman, Ralia Bas Avram Pinkus, Shal Choli Olamam, Ana Balarachamim, Tasvim Misekusek and Afechel Olamim, Vertis Rosachas Mishwasam, Vianucham Mishwasam Mishalam, Benamar, Amen. Raphael, we're just online, finishing the last Refuah Shlema prayer. Raphael's joining us from Gateshead. Mi shevarech Avosenu Avram Yisrael Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Repes Cholim Bavo Shana Mispalim Bavo Ram Yadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachim Aleihim Lachim Lefosam Yishlach Refuah Shlema Shemaim Lachol Orim Besos Shach Yisrael Refuah Nefesh Refuah Guf Hashavak Magrib and Amar Amen. Deborah, please send best wishes to Alon from all of us. Hope he's doing well in Israel. Good, lovely to see everyone this morning. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Keep safe, keep well. Look after yourselves. Take care.